Forget toxic masculinity, how about tonic masculinity? That's my subject on today's Flamingo File. I'm Janice Flamingo of the University of Ottawa. By now, we've all heard far more than we ever cared to know about toxic masculinity. According to a recent article in the online journal Think by psychotherapist Diane Barth, toxic masculinity is, quote, a terrible shorthand for a real problem plaguing men, end quote. Barth positions her article as pro-male, claiming that as a psychotherapist, she wants to rescue men from the straitjacket society imposes on them. Quoting from the American Psychological Association's Guidelines for Psychological Practice with Boys and Men, she tells us that damaging ideas about masculinity include the following, quote, anti-femininity, achievement, eschewal of the appearance of weakness, and adventure, risk, and violence, end quote. This rather incoherent ragbag is associated, she tells us, with, quote, homophobia, bullying, and sexual harassment, end quote. Well, the problem, as many critics have already pointed out, is that at least some of the listed tendencies are deeply grounded in male biology, particularly in testosterone, and cannot simply be reimagined. Stigmatizing natural male traits such as risk-taking or stoicism will help no one. Furthermore, these masculine traits are not only linked to unhealthy behaviors, as everyone agrees they sometimes are, but also to many hugely positive phenomena such as hard work, creativity, individuality, dedication, courage, and problem solving. Even what is indisputably undesirable in some contexts is indispensable in others. Violence, for example, is sometimes necessary to stop violence. Not wanting to appear weak can take a toll on one's mental well-being, but can also lead to admirable feats of fortitude and self-control. The men who died on the Titanic in order that women and children could escape. The soldiers who liberated the concentration camps. The 9/11 first responders who ran into the Twin Towers while everyone else was running away. The SWAT team operative who killed the shooter at the Tree of Life synagogue in Pittsburgh. The divers who saved the Thai boys trapped in the underwater cave. All these and more were acting out some combination of innate male drive and social conditioning. Many of them would likely have preferred to have stayed at home, safe and warm and alive. Was their masculinity toxic? Would our societies be better off without men like them? In some way, many of these men are victims of cultural expectations about male self-sacrifice that would never be demanded of women, just as are to a lesser extent those scientists who sacrificed a social life for years spent working on a cancer breakthrough, or the doctors who sacrificed their family time to help their patients, the professionals who put in 80-hour weeks to be better than anybody else, the businessmen who practically live on the job to make their companies a success, and so on. Yeah, it's a burden that we place on men to succeed, to stand out. Yet is anyone seriously expecting that that burden can or will be removed without enormous cost to everyone? And yet our society shames these men for their so-called privilege. And of course, it's not only the outstanding heroes who expose the hollowness of feminist claims about men. Put "man dies saving ... into a Google search engine and see all the awe-inspiring and heartbreaking stories of everyday courage that come to light, such as the North Carolina man who drowned at Little River Park last July, saving an 8-year-old boy, from powerful river currents. The boy's mother said the man used his last bits of strength to hold her son up above the water as he was drowning. This is what men do, even when it isn't required of them, even in a society that at best ignores their goodness. Look at any list of the most dangerous occupations and see the percentage of men who do those jobs. The loggers, the commercial fishermen, the aircraft pilots, the roofers, garbage collectors, iron and steel workers, farmers and truck drivers, electrical power line workers, construction workers, repairmen, miners, and patrol officers. The percentage of men risking injury and death in these positions ranges from 76% at the low end up to 99.9%. That's for oil and gas mining. And I can't imagine women en masse taking over these jobs. So what the hell are we doing pretending that the future is female? Do feminists envision that women will control the elite managerial, government, academic, and leadership positions while men kept out of the universities and the professions by quotas and Me Too will slave away in the dirty and dangerous work? If mainstream media can use a disgusting designation like toxic to smear an entire group for characteristics exhibited by only a few, let's at least have a term that honors that same group for characteristics exhibited by a majority. I propose the phrase tonic masculinity to identify the qualities and behaviors that are the opposite of harmful. Tonic masculinity creates well-being by bringing life, health, freedom, prosperity, security, efficiency, technological mastery, and high functionality to our societies. It should be celebrated regularly. National leaders should explicitly acknowledge and praise it. Government should set aside a day to remember it. Media outlets should highlight it as male. Hollywood should have a category of film that displays it. Lawyers should introduce it as a mitigating factor at trial, and gender studies programs should analyze and commend it. Of course, none of that will happen anytime soon. But failing that, let's at least promote the phrase and be grateful for #tonic masculinity.